Hello, hi there. My name is Sunil Yadav. I'm going to talk about what is the with context in coroutines. So with coroutines is like very simple. Allows us to easily change context. So we know the context, right? Context is very important. Basically, context is just saying what thread you are going to run this particular coroutines, right? Either you can use main thread or you can use different dispatchers, right? Easily switch between dispatchers and very light. Let's see how it's work. So here I just prepared one simple example. Here is not much. So what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to create just trying to say what context we are running the while we are trying to run the more run blocking, right? So this run blocking, what context is running and what thread is running basically while we are starting our run blocking code. Now we are saying this is our launch dispatcher dot default. So under one this is our top dispatcher, this parent, right? Under parent we have with context here one more dispatcher we are attaching. So suppose what we are trying to do here is we are trying to start our parent launch in default, right? Default thread pool, and we are again printing what coroutine context is running for this. Now we are seeing what thread is associated with this dispatcher, right? And we have again we are switching the context. We started with default, but just we wanted to switch a different thread pool because we have different dispatchers. So depend upon our need, we wanted to see, hey, first let's start with this, but now I don't want to use this thread anymore. I wanted to use IO thread, right? In IO we have number of thread depend upon if you see this description. So we are saying the number of default limit of 64 thread for this IO, or if the property you have set this one, or is number of core, whichever is larger. So that number of threads we are going to create here. And again, so we started with this default. Now we switch to dispatcher IO. So with default we basically help, right? If we wanted to switch the context from the started with something, but they just wanted to switch to different while we are running into program. So if you see, right, call the specified suspending block with a given routine context, suspend until it's complete and return the result. The resulting context for the block is derived from the merging context, coroutine context with the specified context using coroutine context plus context. So this is simple. I'm going to read all this function. So let's see how it's working. So you will see this. So if we try to run this code, let's see how it's working. So now what I'm getting here is I think starting the context. So we starting the context with blocking coroutines, because this is we are using run blocking, right? So it's going to block over this particular event. So we are using event loop basically, and the thread is associated with this one is main thread. Now we are saying this is also running right away, like third here is here. If you see this is this before that part is completed, we are saying in context, again we are saying blocking loop and the main. Now our coroutine is going to start from the here launch. So here we are seeing first context is here is our stand alone coroutine and dispatcher dot default, right? Because we started with dispatcher dot default. Now we wanted to switch the context. So we started with the dispatcher default. Now I wanted to move from that context to use different thread pool. I don't wanted to use dispatcher dot default. So here what we are trying to get here is, now with the second context is started with dispatcher.io, right? And again here is dispatcher, the thread what we were running worker one, right? Because number depend upon your number of core, right? That can be 1 2 3 4 5 7 8, and or depend upon like 64 can be a number of thread is going to be depend upon our configuration for IO. Now we can see here is third context is running in default. So here what do you mean by third context? Now we moved out from this particular code, or this particular code run in a dispatcher.io. Now we are outside of from this with context. So because we started with dispatcher.default, now we are again moving to dispatcher.default. Now if we see the third context is again running a dispatcher.default, because the context scope with context scope is limited to this particular, right, lambda function to run this particular code. Now we are moved out, and now here we see the third context thread is again dispatcher worker one. So this is really helpful if we wanted to switch the context and use the additional thread while we are doing something. We don't want to block our calling thread, but we wanted to do parallel with another kind of thread pool like IO, depend upon your need. So that will help the with context in that case. So that's it from this session. Hope you like this video. Please subscribe my channel and share your feedback. Thank you so much for your time.